Incredible revelation, Black Nanny discovers hidden truth behind billionaire heiress's 3 bloodlines. Clara stood in the attic, the air thick with dust motes dancing in the fading sunlight. She had climbed the rickety stairs for a few forgotten toys that the kids had left behind. What she found instead was a box cloaked in the remnants of time. It called to her, a whisper of history mingling with her own struggles. As she pulled it closer, her heart raced. Inside were letters, old photographs, and documents that emitted echoes of another life, a life connected to Emma, the untouched billionaire heiress she cared for daily. The world was divided outside. Clara felt it slip into the silence around her. She thought of her own 2 children, growing up facing the harsh realities of life in a community that often overlooked them. Yet here, beneath layers of dust and privilege, Clara stumbled upon a truth that shook her to her core. Could they be linked? What untold stories awaited her in this forgotten box? Each letter she read revealed a once-woven tapestry of lives crossed by fate. She could see the stark contrast between Emma's elegant world of soirees and her own daily grind, where every penny counted. It ignited something in her, a fire urging her to seek out the bonds that had remained hidden far too long. But as she delved deeper, uncertainty loomed like a dark cloud. Would her quest for understanding be welcomed by both her community and Emma's social elite? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As days turned to weeks, Clara's heart pounded with the weight of her discovery. Emma's world started to intrude on hers, opulent events where she felt too out of place and the glaring eyes of judgment that scrutinized every move, both from the elite and her own community. But a fierce love for her children pushed her onward. If unraveling this history meant a brighter future for them, she couldn't back down. That day came, unexpected and surreal, when Clara's children met Emma's at a neighborhood picnic. Their laughter rang through the air, mixing with echoes of uncertainty. Clara watched their innocence bridge the gaping chasm between their worlds. Could 2 families forged by vastly different experiences truly connect? In that moment, the future felt warm yet uncertain, but as secrets lay buried beneath the surface, Clara felt the moment of impact approaching. What would happen when truths began to unravel? Could their newfound connection withstand the storms of history? Her heart raced as she braced herself for what lay ahead. Would this lead them to understanding or shatter everything they built? The attic's dusty relic stirred inside her, and Clara was ready to face whatever came next. The sound of laughter echoed across the park, a symphony of joy that contrasted sharply with Clara's racing thoughts. She watched as her children, unburdened by the complexities of life, played freely with Emma's. It was a vision that pierced through the barriers of class, a moment she had secretly yearned for. As they chased each other under the giant oak, she couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to shift in their lives. Emma stood a few yards away, her glossy hair catching the sunlight, smiling at Clara, a smile that held warmth yet flickered with the weight of the world perched on her shoulders. Clara stepped forward, her heart pounding with the unspoken bond that hung between them, a bond that extended beyond the leisured play and vibrant laughter of their children. Clara wondered if Emma felt the same. Who knew they'd hit it off so well? Emma said, her voice light yet edged with underlying uncertainty. Clara nodded, forcing a smile. Kids have a way of making things simple, don't they? They don't see the color or the money, just friends. Yet, Clara was all too aware of the invisible lines drawn by society that outlined their very different existences. She could still feel the ghost of the letters in her pocket, an unwanted reminder of the complexities lying beneath their connection. The urge to pull Emma aside and lay it all bare flooded Clara's mind. What if these children were bound by more than just friendship? The thought had crossed her mind too often since that day in the attic. As she fought with her internal conflict, she caught sight of a sudden change in Emma's demeanor. The billionaire heiress wore an expression that Clara recognized, one filled with deep contemplation, an impending decision hanging in the air between them. "Clara, can we talk for a moment?" Emma asked, her voice serious, pulling Clara out of her reverie. "Sure," Clara replied, masking the nervous flutters in her stomach. They walked a few steps away from the laughter, the cheerful sounds shifting to a muted backdrop of uncertainty. "I've been thinking about our families," Emma started, her eyes glimmering with unspoken thoughts. "There's something unique about what happened today, don't you think? Our kids, it feels like they're bridging a gap." Clara's heart raced again. "It does, doesn't it? But I've got to be honest. There are things I've uncovered that could change everything. About your family, and mine." Emma's expression shifted, curiosity igniting in her eyes. "What do you mean?" Before Clara could respond, the sound of a child's fall broke the moment. Clara turned to see her youngest on the ground, tears forming as he rubbed his knee. Instinct kicked in, and she rushed to comfort him, pushing her conversation with Emma to the back of her mind. "It's okay, buddy." Clara knelt beside him, wiping away his tears. She felt Emma's eyes on her back, an unspoken question lingering. Would she ever find the courage to unearth those hidden truths? What risks would come with revealing what she had learned? As her son began to smile again, Clara glanced up at Emma, and in that brief eye contact, they both knew that the truth about their families was waiting to be addressed. That moment loomed over them like a thunderstorm cloud heavy with rain, but would they dare to face it together? The picnic continued around them, laughter ringing once more, but the atmosphere had shifted. Clara and Emma stood on the precipice of a revelation that could change everything. Would unveiling the hidden connections bring them closer, or would they tear the fragile friendship apart? Clara took a deep breath. It was time to choose. Clara steadied herself as she helped her son back to his feet. His laughter was infectious, a sweet sound that momentarily dissolved her worries. But as she looked at Emma again, she could feel that unaddressed weight pressing down on her. "Maybe we should sit for a moment," Emma suggested, her voice barely above the laughter that surrounded them. Clara nodded, and they found a quiet spot on a worn picnic blanket, far enough from the playful chaos but close enough to keep an eye on the kids. "What did you uncover?" Emma asked, her curiosity unyielding yet cautious. Clara took a deep breath, the warm air filling her lungs, mingling with the sense of fresh grass and distant barbecues. "I found some letters, connections that tie our families together in a way I never expected," she finally admitted. The words felt heavy, like stones thrown into fast-moving water. Emma's brow furrowed, her blue eyes searching Clara's face for answers. "What kind of connections? Are you saying?" "Yes. Our families might have been intertwined long before we were born. It's complicated." Clara looked down, tracing small patterns in the fabric of the blanket. "It's about our past secrets that could change everything." Silence stretched between them, thick and charged. As children giggled in the background, Clara felt the tension uncoiling within her, yet fear twisted tighter around her heart. She wished she could think of a way to explain, to reassure Emma that disclosing this truth wouldn't rip them apart. "Look, I'm not trying to make this weird," she continued, her voice gaining strength. "But I think it's important we face it. I mean, if our kids are going to grow up together, we need to know." Emma's tone was firm, and Clara admired the determination she saw there. "What if it changes everything?" Clara questioned softly, the fear flickering in her chest again. "What if they don't want to be friends anymore because of it?" Emma tilted her head slightly, and a corner of her mouth curled up, revealing the fierceness beneath her calm demeanor. "True friendship can withstand a lot. If we're honest with each other, this might just strengthen the bond. But we have to be brave, Clara." Bravery felt like an insurmountable mountain at that moment. Clara could hardly consider the weight of what lay ahead. Emma's gaze remained steady, and a rush of gratitude washed over Clara. The bond they shared was fragile but real, and perhaps that represented hope. They both turned as they noticed the kids giggling, their gleeful shouts drawing them back to the present. But Clara felt something shift in the atmosphere. Could this moment lead to an understanding deeper than she had ever imagined? Maybe we should tell them, she suggested, her heart racing at the thought. About the families, all of it. Together, Emma agreed, resolve tightening her features. The picnic unfolded around them, laughter rising and falling like waves crashing against the rocks, yet Clara felt a quiet storm brewing in her heart. This journey was just beginning. What awaited them in that tangled history? Would they emerge stronger, or would the revelations tear apart their families? As they shared a determined glance, silent promises lingered between them, electric and uncertain. This bond was now a thread woven into their shared narrative, one that might just lead to the truth, no matter how wild. But standing on the edge of this unknown territory, Clara wondered, were they ready to confront their pasts together, or would the weight of the truth be too much to bear? The kids chased each other in circles, squeals of laughter blending with the faint sound of music drifting from nearby families. Yet for Clara, the joy around her felt like an echo, distant and muffled by the growing knot in her stomach. She watched Leo pull Emma's daughter, Mia, into a spontaneous game of tag, their carefree innocence so stark against the heaviness of the conversation that loomed on the horizon. "Clara, are you okay?" Emma's gentle voice pulled her back from the whirlpool of anxiety. "Yeah, just a lot on my mind," Clara admitted, forcing a smile. It felt strange, lying when her feelings roiled just beneath the surface. "What if we tell them today?" Her voice was barely a whisper, fighting through the chaotic cheerfulness surrounding them. Emma nodded, her expression serious. "We should find a way to do it delicately. Kids can sense tension." Clara could see her processing the idea, the responsibility weighing heavily upon both of them. What if they ask questions we aren't ready to answer? Clara felt the urgency grow, clawing at her resolve. "Then we answer honestly," Emma replied, though Clara could see the flicker of fear in her eyes too. "We'll figure it out together." The sun dipped lower, casting golden rays through the trees as the afternoon wore on. Clara felt the warmth of the light but shivered with apprehension, knowing what lay beneath the surface of their supposedly simple lives. As the kids collapsed on the picnic blanket, breathless and flushed, Clara's heart raced. They looked so unaware, so innocent. "Leo, Mia." Clara called out, her voice breaking ever so slightly. "We need to talk to you all about something important." The laughter faded, and apprehension filled the air as Leo bounced up and tugged at her sleeve. "What is it, Mom?" His eyes sparkled with curiosity, a perfect blend of innocence and hope, just like Mia beside him. Emma, mirroring Clara's nervousness, knelt down and took Mia's hands in her own. "It's about our families, about the stories that have woven us together in ways we may not know." Mia's brows knitted in confusion. "What do you mean?" Clara took a deep breath, locking eyes with Emma, hoping her friend felt the same resolve. "The truth is, there are things about our pasts that connect us, things we've never talked about." The kids exchanged glances, clearly unsure of where this was headed, and Clara took a moment to steel herself. "It might change how you look at each other." Leo's face fell slightly, concern replacing the joy. "Will it change how we are friends?" Clara's heart squeezed painfully. "It could. But it doesn't have to. Just because we learn something new doesn't mean we stop caring about each other. Sometimes, it makes us both stronger." Silence draped over them, thick and still. The weight of unspoken words loomed, swirling around the blanket like fallen leaves in the wind. Clara felt herself tremble beneath the anticipation, the need to shield them from hurt battling with the necessity of truth. Emma spoke softly, the realization dawning on her as she glanced at her daughter. "We want you both to grow up honest together. That means facing difficult truths, no matter how scary they seem." Leo, ever the protector, squared his small shoulders. "We can handle it." The resolve in his childish voice ignited a flicker of hope within Clara's heart. Maybe there was a way forward. Maybe facing the truth wouldn't shatter their world but build something new among them. As she prepared to share their family histories, emotions swirling within, Clara couldn't help but wonder, would the revelations bring them closer together or threaten to split their families apart? Would they end up stronger, or would the truths buried in old letters unravel the bonds they had cherished? The setting sun framed their little group in a warm glow as Clara opened her mouth to speak, but the question echoing through her mind wouldn't leave her: were they truly ready to embrace the power of the past? Clara's heart raced. She felt the sun's warmth tilt toward an uncertain dusk, casting shadows that danced ominously over their blanket. She took a moment to gather her thoughts, each one a fragile glass bead, ready to spill from a full jar. "Okay, so," she began, her voice quivering. "This is about family. In our families, there are stories, parts of our past that we don't usually talk about." She scanned their faces, searching for understanding in their wide eyes. Mia's little mouth twisted in a frown. "But why not? Everyone tells stories at night." Leo added, "like the ones about Grandma and her chicken soup. Those are the best." A small laugh pushed through Clara's nerves. The innocence of childhood made the moment both delicate and profound, holding the potential for connection or confusion. Emma stepped in, supportive as ever. "Sometimes, Clara's right. There are stories that are hard to share." Clara nodded, her heart aching. "Like whispers trapped in old letters," Clara continued, "these stories can change how we see each other." She paused as she felt the weight of the truth settle. Some of them come from hard times, times when love looked different, or when families were broken in ways that we didn't choose. Mia looked to her mom, clearly distressed. "You mean we might not really be who we think we are?" Clara saw the fear in their eyes, and for a moment, she regretted starting this conversation. "No. That's not what I mean. It doesn't change who we are today, just where we come from." "Like history?" Leo asked, tilting his head, processing. "Exactly." Emma's encouragement lifted Clara slightly. "Like history, our family history shapes who we are. It can give us strength if we let it." Clara felt the tension seep out just a little. What's important is how we choose to love each other now. "But what if we don't like it?" Mia whispered, a tear glistening at the edge of her eyelid. Clara's heart broke a little more. Sometimes, the truth is hard, but it also can bring us closer. As if sensing the gravity of the moment, Leo reached out and squeezed Mia's hand. "We're best friends, right? No matter what?" "Yes." Mia cheered, her spirit ignited with hope. Clara marveled at their resilience. Children had an innate ability to bounce back, to find light even in the darkest corners. "Okay," Clara exhaled, feeling the air thick with unspoken words, "let me tell you about my family. About your grandpa and all the things I learned when I was your age." With each word, Clara's heart opened, and memories poured from her like a spring thawing from winter's grasp. She began to weave a tale of courage, heartache, and resilience. The kids listened, captivated by the story. As time slipped away, shadows draped the park in a gentle twilight. Clara could see interest growing in their eyes, the stories working their magic. But then, as she reached a pivotal moment of revelation, a piercing shriek erupted from across the park. Emma turned, concern flooding her features. "What was that?" Clara's stomach lurched. "I don't know," but suddenly, worry rippled through the laughter and joy of the park. They all turned, eyes wide, wondering whether the spark of truth they had been discussing might be overshadowed by something unexpected and troubling. "What's happening?" Leo asked, clutching Mia's hand tighter. Whatever it was, Clara felt a sense of urgency tugging at her truths unearthed, alongside dangers unexpected. Would they finish their conversation about the past, or would they be drawn into the chaos unfolding right before them? The murmur of alarm grew louder, and a daunting question lingered. were they ready to face what came next, together? Clara glanced at Emma, their eyes locking for a brief moment. The fear they had just shared injected adrenaline into Clara's veins. "Stay close," she whispered, feeling more protective than ever. The air crackled with tension as crowds began shifting. People were leaving picnics mid-bite, children clinging to parents, and the joyous laughter was replaced by anxious murmurs. Clara's heart raced. She had a responsibility to these kids now, more than ever. "What do we do?" Leo's voice trembled, a mixture of excitement and fear. "Let's find out what's happening," Clara replied, trying to sound steady while urgency bubbled beneath the surface. She took a deep breath, steeling herself. They got to their feet as families began moving toward the park entrance. Clara led the way, holding Mia's hand with a firm grip. The little girl's wide eyes reflected the chaos around them, and Clara felt a knot of anxiety tighten in her stomach. The sharp cries echoed again, sharper this time, sending a ripple through the crowd. In the distance, Clara spotted a group of people gathered near a playground. A boy was bent over, his face twisted in pain while his friends surrounded him, looking helpless. Clara's heart sank. Instinctively, she pushed through the crowd, determined to get to the source of the panic. "Move aside, please," Clara called out as they approached, her voice rising above the murmurs. The kids clung to her sides, their small bodies radiating a desperate need for reassurance. Emma followed closely, her face set with hard concern. As they reached the circle of kids, Clara dropped to her knees beside the boy. He was clutching his ankle, tears streaming down his cheeks. "What happened?" she asked, gently brushing hair away from his forehead. "I fell off the swing. I can't move it," he whimpered, his voice cracking. Clara could feel the intensity of his pain, and she quickly focused on calming him. "Hey, it's okay. Let's take a deep breath. I know it hurts," she said softly, her gentle tones soothing the chaos he felt. "Can we help?" Mia piped up, looking worried but eager to assist. Clara admired her bravery. "Yes, of course. You can help me get some adults," Clara guided. Leo, uncharacteristically serious, nodded as he surveyed their surroundings. "I'll find someone," he declared, pushing through the crowd with his small frame. Clara turned back to the boy. "What's your name?" she asked, trying to keep his attention away from the pain. "Tommy," he sniffed, glancing up at her. "Does it hurt a lot?" "It will hurt for now, but you're going to be okay. We're going to take care of you." She could feel the weight of her words. In sharing her story earlier, had she prepared them for moments like these? Emma knelt beside Clara, whispering, "What do we do next?" Clara thought for a moment. "We wait for help, and then we can teach him, just like I'm teaching you, about being brave." Just then, as if summoned by the severity of the moment, an adult in a red shirt came rushing into the throng. "What's going on?" he asked, scanning the scene quickly. As they explained, Clara caught sight of Leo returning with a couple of park staff members. Relief rushed through her, but before they could interrupt, a new sound rippled through the crowd. It wasn't just the cries of the boy. It was a distant shout, urgent and sharp. "Look!" Leo shouted, pointing to a cluster of people further down the pathway. "What's that?" Clara's heart raced once more, and she turned to the commotion. There, a small group surrounded another scene, but the expressions on their faces shock, alarm rooted Clara in place. Instincts flooded her, the stories of her family echoing in her mind. What was happening? Was it another accident, or was it connected to something deeper, something that could lead to the truths they were only beginning to scratch the surface of? The urgency filled Clara's chest. They stood at the brink of unknown realities, ready to face whatever was revealed next. Would it tear them apart or bring them closer? An unease settled between them, and with a determined glance at the kids, Clara knew they needed to move because whatever lay ahead would change everything. Clara tightened her grip on Mia's hand, her instincts kicking into overdrive. "Stay here," she said firmly, shooting a glance back at Emma and the others. She pushed forward through the crowd, her heart pounding as she tried to reach the center of the commotion. Leo and Emma followed her closely, their expressions a mix of curiosity and fear. Clara could hear whispers surrounding them, people speculating, sharing small fragments of information that only added to her growing anxiety. The distant shout rang out again, sharper this time, and it sent a shiver down her spine. As they reached the outer edge of the new crowd, Clara noticed the shifting faces, their expressions veiled in worry. She climbed onto a bench, trying to get a better view. There, about 10 feet away, a girl was lying on the grass, surrounded by 3 adults, all leaning in with intent and concern. Clara's breath hitched as she recognized the girl's familiar golden curls. "Is that Mia's sister?" Emma exclaimed, her voice rising with alarm. "Isla!" Mia shouted, breaking free from Clara's hold. The little girl dashed forward, and Clara's heart plummeted. "Wait!" she called, but the crowd surged with them, blocking her path. Clara jumped down and pushed past the adults who now stepped aside, recognizing the urgency in her voice. "What's wrong?" she demanded, kneeling by Isla's side. Her heart raced as she noticed the girl's pale face, her small hands clutching her stomach. Isla groaned softly, tears glistening in her eyes. "It hurts, Clara," she said weakly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I felt dizzy and then everything went black." Mia reached her sister, fear etched on her innocent face. "Isla, stay with me. You're going to be okay," she pleaded, holding her sister's hand tightly. Clara felt an overwhelming surge of protectiveness wash over her. "We need a medic," one of the adults yelled, panic intensifying in their tone. Clara looked around, taking stock of the crowd. Everyone appeared to be frozen, caught in the snare of fear and confusion. Suddenly, a sharp voice broke through the clamor. "Everyone, move back. Give her space." A woman in a dark parka stepped in, her authoritative manner cutting through the rising chaos. Clara recognized her as one of the park rangers. "Is anyone trained in first aid?" "I am," Clara responded, surprising herself. Fear still danced on the edges of her mind, but the memory of her training kicked in, pushing away the helplessness that threatened to swallow her. The ranger turned to her, evaluating her with a quick glance. "Good. Help me check her pulse and make sure she's stable until the paramedics arrive." Clara moved into action, her hands steady as she placed them on Isla's wrist. She focused on counting the beats, forcing herself not to look at the faces around her. They needed her. They needed someone who could hold it together, but amidst the chaos, another cry rang out, further down the path. Clara felt the air around her thicken with tension again, and she glanced up to see another group of people gathering, this time with wild-eyed expressions. Clara could feel the collective breath of nearby spectators who were caught between awe and worry. "What now?" Emma whispered, dread creeping into her voice. Clara bit her lip, torn. A part of her wanted to stay with Isla, protect her little sister, be the one to hold everything together. But the other part urged her to face the unknown, to discover if the two incidents were connected. She couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was happening now had the power to reshape the afternoon in ways they couldn't yet understand. Clara inhaled deeply, weighing her choices as adrenaline surged through her veins. "I need to go see," she finally decided, trying to keep her voice steady. "Stay with Isla. Call me if anything changes." Determination flooded Clara's spirit as she turned her back to the fragile scene, ready to plunge into the unfolding mystery. What awaited her wasn't just chaos, it felt like a storm of revelation building. Whatever lay ahead shimmered in the air like electricity, and she couldn't ignore it, but time was running out. Would she uncover the truth before it was too late? Clara weaved her way through the throngs of anxious spectators, each step heightening the sense of urgency coursing through her. The distant cries and growing murmurs echoed ominously, clashing with the resounding heartbeat in her ears. She felt like she was running toward a storm, a tempest of emotions and unanswered questions. As she approached the new commotion, Clara's heart sank. The scene unfolded like a movie, with shadows of desperation painted across the faces of onlookers. A young boy lay sprawled on the ground, his small frame trembling as two panicked teenagers knelt beside him, their voices rising in frantic pleas for help. "Somebody, please!" one yelled, eyes wide with terror. Clara rushed forward, engaging the very instincts that had kicked in moments before. "What happened?" she asked softly, positioning herself next to the boy. She noticed his bright pink shirt, now damp with sweat, and the ashen pallor of his skin. He collapsed. One of the teens cried, gesturing wildly, nearly incoherent with fear. "He was fine just a minute ago, and then I don't know." Like Isla, Clara thought, a chill creeping down her spine. The unsettling connection sent a wave of nausea through her. She knelt down, her hands instinctively searching for a pulse, praying that his heartbeat would be steady. A moment passed, a moment that felt like eternity before she found it, weak but there. "Stay calm. Help is on the way," Clara commanded, her voice firmer than she felt. She glanced around, searching for any signs of help. "We need some space here. Everyone back." The crowd begrudgingly parted, their curious eyes darting between Clara, the boy, and the girl still on the grass with Mia. The panic in the air hung thick like fog. It was clear something was terribly wrong, and she could feel it deep in her bones. One of the teens burst into tears. Wake up. I'm scared." Clara placed a comforting hand on their shoulder. "You're doing great. Just keep talking to him," she said gently, trying to keep the situation under control. "What's his name?" "Tyler," the boy replied, his voice trembling. "Tyler, can you hear me?" Clara kept counting the boy's pulse, feeling time slip through her fingers. Each beat felt like a reminder of their fragility, of how easily a day of joy could turn to despair. She caught snippets of conversation from the crowd, speculation swirling like a whirlwind, and she couldn't shake the underlying fear that these incidents might not be coincidental. From the corner of her eye, Clara noticed the park ranger rushing to her side. "I'll take over," the ranger said, kneeling next to Tyler and assessing the situation quickly. In that instant, Clara felt a pang of guilt not being able to focus solely on Isla, but she gritted her teeth, knowing she couldn't afford to hesitate. She had to figure out if there was something larger behind this chaos, something that could be threatening her friends, their families, and those innocent kids. "Clara!" Emma's voice rang out. "What is going on?" "I don't know," Clara snapped back, her own fear twisting inside her. "But whatever it is, it's bad and it might get worse." She suddenly felt a hand grip her shoulder and turned to see Leo, his face shadowed with worry. "What do we do? Should we call for help?" His eyes darted to Clara's, asking for a plan, for clarity. "I don't know," she said, the words tasting bitter in her mouth. "But we can't just stand by. We have to find out what's happening. There has to be a connection." As she stepped away from Tyler, a loud crash shook the ground nearby. Clara's heart raced as she turned her head. The atmosphere shifted, and everyone's gaze snapped toward the origin of the sound, a white van barreling down the path, tires screeching against the asphalt, heading straight toward the park. "What is going on?" she murmured, dread curling around her stomach. "What are we about to uncover?" The crowd shifted restlessly, and Clara knew that whatever was coming next would mark a turning point, for better or worse. She steeled herself for what lay ahead, knowing deep down that answers waited just beyond the chaos, but at what cost? The van skidded to a halt just feet away from Clara and the gathered crowd. Dust and debris formed a hazy veil as the engine roared for a split second before falling silent. An electric tension crackled in the air, and Clara could feel a million eyes wide with fear and curiosity, mirroring her own anxiety. Clara stepped back instinctively, but she was rooted to the spot. The sliding door of the van flung open violently, and a man in a dark hoodie jumped out. His face was partially obscured, but his frantic movements didn't match the calm demeanor one would expect from someone emerging from a vehicle in stop-and-go traffic. Instead, he scanned the crowd as if searching for something or someone. "Clara. We need to get out of here." Leo's voice was tense, demanding her attention. "No!" she snapped, pushing back against the fear rising inside her. "I need to see what's happening. We need to understand this." The man from the van darted toward the kids gathered around Tyler, desperation contorting his features. Rolling through the crowd, Clara could hear the murmurs climbing in pitch: questions, fears, uncertain assessments of the stranger who appeared so abruptly. "Stay back, everyone," he called hoarsely, and the crowd hesitated, taken aback by his urgency. "I'm looking for my son, Tyler." "Where is he?" Clara's heart leaped. The boy's name struck her like a bolt of lightning. Was this the father? "Here. He's right here." Clara pointed frantically as she made her way back toward Tyler, while the boy's two friends gave way to the man in the hoodie. As the man knelt down beside Tyler, Clara felt something shift in the air. His stone-cold face softened at the sight of his son, concern flooding his features. "Tyler, can you hear me?" But Tyler was still unconscious, his small form lifeless, albeit with a weak pulse. Clara felt tears sting her eyes as she knelt beside them. "Help is on the way. We just need to keep him safe," she assured, holding the father's gaze. "What caused this? Do you know?" "You don't understand," the man said, shaking his head in disbelief. "This is happening all over. Kids are collapsing everywhere." His eyes glimmered with fear and desperation. "Something is wrong. Something is in the air or the water. I felt it before he passed out." Clara's stomach churned and her mind raced. How could something so insidious be sweeping across their community unnoticed? Just then, a loud siren blared in the distance, growing louder as the emergency vehicles rushed toward the scene. Clara could hear them cutting through the noise of fear and confusion. She glanced at Leo, who had gone pale, his expression mirroring her anxiety. "What do we do?" he whispered, his voice trembling. "We need to find out where the others are," Clara insisted, her heart racing. "If this is more than just a few isolated incidents, we need to get to the bottom of it." The crowd shifted violently again, many pressing closer to hear what was happening, others recoiling in dread. Clara deliberately moved to the forefront, her instincts compelling her to gather information. She knew how crucial it was to stay calm, to think clearly. As the paramedics hurriedly arrived and took over the situation, Clara felt a gnawing impatience take hold. What was the hidden truth behind this chaos? A wave of emotions swirled within her: fear, urgency, an almost overwhelming determination. Leo grabbed her arm as the paramedics began working on Tyler. "Clara, do you really think it's something bigger? What if we're in real danger?" "I think we need to dig deeper," Clara replied, swallowing her own fear. "If there's even a small chance that this could escalate, we have to act." Her gaze fell on the white van, still parked at the edge of chaos. What other secrets lay within those walls? And what had the man in the hoodie really seen? A shiver ran down her spine as the implications settled in. "Let us find out," she said, taking a deep breath. "We might not have much time." As she and Leo moved to investigate, the air around them thickened with uncertainty. Answers were needed, but what lay ahead? The tension was palpable, wrapping around them like a cloak. And just then, a figure stepped forward from the shadows, a stranger wearing a knowing smile. "You think you can handle the truth?" he asked, and Clara felt an icy chill grip her heart. What did he know that could change everything? Clara's entire body froze as the stranger's words hung in the air. The crowd's commotion faded into a dull roar. All Clara could hear was the thunderous beating of her heart. What truth could he possibly be holding? What do you mean? Emma's voice sliced through the thick tension, bringing Clara back to the moment. The stranger's smile widened, as if knowing the storm he had stepped into. You're looking for answers, aren't you? You feel it, the change in the air. It's not just a coincidence, the man said, his eyes glinting knowingly. Things are connected, all connected like threads woven into a grand tapestry. What are you talking about? Leo asked, his voice shaky but defiant. Clara glanced back toward the paramedics surrounding Tyler, who remained unconscious, and Isla who grimaced in pain. Fear clutched at her heart like an iron vice. Just tell us what you know. She demanded, desperation seeping into her tone. The stranger took a step closer, lowering his voice. There have been rumors of toxins in the water supply. I'm sorry, but it's spreading, affecting kids, all around this area. Clara's breath hitched. Toxins? The pieces clicked together. Isla's sudden pain, Tyler's collapse. Could it really be something so sinister? They need to get this under control, the stranger continued, urgency in his voice. But it's bigger than that. And your families, Clara, Emma, they're intertwined in ways you have yet to understand. Clara felt a whirlpool of emotions: anger, fear, confusion, but beneath it all, a glimmer of clarity broke through. Everything she had discovered about Emma and their families had led her to this moment. The attic whispers, the letters, the bonds hidden deep within history. There was urgency. If they didn't act now, more chaos could ensue. Their kids, their future, her family, Emma's family, all woven into the fabric that would determine their fate. Wait. Clara's resolve bubbled to the surface. If the water is tainted, we need to warn everyone. How do we find out where it's coming from? The stranger's gaze met Clara's, reading the determination in her eyes. You need more than just words. You'll need to reach the source, and that means confronting those in power. Emma stepped forward, but how? We can't just waltz into a meeting with people who don't care. Yes, you can together, Clara asserted. If our families are connected, then we share this fight. Let us pull on those threads. Maybe someone out there knows more. Let us rally our community. They deserve to know the truth. With a gleam in his eyes, the stranger nodded. Be ready. Change won't come easily. But if you act now, armed with the truth and family ties that bind you, you can find the strength needed to confront this. Clara turned to Emma and Leo, feeling a surge of hope well up inside her. We need to gather everyone and get the word out. This isn't just about our families anymore, this is about every child in our community. Leo's eyes sparkled with determination. Let us do it, he shouted, and with that, the warmth of rising hope spread through their small group. Together, Emma added, her fragile smile revealing a fierce spirit. We'll fight for our kids, for everyone. As Clara gathered the courage to spearhead their mission, she thought of the families at home, of her kids. This fragile connection that had been growing between her and Emma had ignited something deep inside her, a call to action. With each step they took toward the Central Park area, she felt the weight of the past laced with determination. They would dig deeper, uncover the truths that fortified their families. Because their love and bravery, against all odds, could unite a community. The day had started with laughter and innocence, but it would end in a fight to safeguard their future. Clara knew they could be the change, they could spread the word, ignite the fire of determination in their neighbors. She felt a renewed sense of purpose as she turned back, ready for whatever came next. They would face the storm, not just for themselves, but for every child, every family that deserved a safer tomorrow. Let us get started, Clara said, her heart full of hope for the journey ahead. As they rallied their community, hand in hand, they were no longer just families divided by class, they were united by truth, love, and an unwavering determination to protect their futures. Now, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Clara felt deep within her that they were ready to tackle the darkness, to confront whatever awaited them. Together, stronger than ever, they would rise and unveil the truth. This was their moment and nothing would stand in their way, before your adventure in this emotional journey continues, here is something you must do right now. You need to subscribe immediately to our channel so you won't miss out on the next exclusive story of courage and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support our mission. Your engagement makes a genuine difference in spreading these vital messages. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this intense ending. Your voice matters, and share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation and rally behind their community. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Be the heartbeat of change.